be until 8:40.
Excuse me, Joy.
Teacher, I will be until 8:45 because I have a meeting with Teacher Sugan before he fly to US tomorrow.
Okay, certainly. Nice to see you. Thank you for your birthday wishes. Yes, you too, Rach, you're not staying?
Yeah, I got to go by 8:45. I have a meditation with my student. Yeah, we do it every night.
Good for you. Good for you.
So ask for permission. Thank you.
Certainly. So let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. And see them there with you. They are gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion, their wisdom radiating from them, that beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try fall short. Wonderful it will be when we can also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. Deep down, we know this is possible. Learning about karma and emptiness, we glimpse how it's possible, how it's actually inevitable. And so we turn our minds back to that precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please teach us that, teach me that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the perfect world. They are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands, and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with the blanket of flowers, the great mountain, four lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, sharing in this investigation and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing in this investigation and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing in this investigation and the rest, may all beings reach their total awakening for the benefit of every single other. Yay, okay. So I was looking at our schedule, and Nagarjuna investigators will meet next week on May 7th, but then after that, we'll be off the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th of April. So we won't be back until after next week, yes, but after that, not till May 7th. Yeah, we get a spring break, 3 weeks of spring break. So maybe we'll have an assignment or a project or something. Wouldn't that be fun?
Joanna, you want to give us some minutes before start? Teacher,
Yes.
can you give us maybe 10 minutes? We're going to share a video with you.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah,
I'll unshare here.
thanks. Anyway, we make some video this afternoon with Pauline, with GL, but GL tonight have a meeting an important friend from Taiwan. Anyway, we really, GL and me feel so much appreciate and thanks for teacher Sumati and teacher Sarani's teaching. For many years, wake up very early in US to teach us, or else we are not what we are today, and we are still living in the old kind of thinking. But and also with both of yours guidance and teaching, we managed to finish the SCI, and we still lay a good foundation for us to go explore it further. Thank you so much.
Yay.
I think we make this live liberation in Penang just now. I think 3 o'clock we make some 4 o'clock we make some video, and we are very lucky that we managed to buy the 3 type of beings that which can fly, can swim, and can live in the on the floor. Let me share.
Thank you.
The video is not very good, but I hope if this is the place we do the liberation. We do it actually every month.
Fabulous. Is it going? I just see your screen.
Yeah, can you see my screen? You see
I
sharing?
see your screen, but I don't see the video going.
Oh, okay. Let me try one more time. Let me try one more time. Mm. Okay, one more time. Okay. I don't know how to set this. Can you see now?
Yes.
Good. This is the place we do the liberation with Provin and GL.
Nama Ratna Chayaya, Nama Ayajan, Sakala Virajan, Vyoharajaya, Tathagataya, Ahati Samyasam Buddhaya, Nama Sawa Tathagativi, Ahagativi, Samyasam Buddhavi, Nama Aya Avalokiti, Shwaraya Bodhisattvaya, Mahasatvaya, Mahakarunikaya. Kaya taha dara dara diri diri ite vite sare sare prachare prachare kusume kusuma vare iri gwara apanaya swaha.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Free，公主漂亮。
还在那边。要拍一张照片。
好咯，拍一张。我们拍一张照。
Yay.
One
Thank you
more.
so much. Wow.
Give me 1 more minute. One more. Can you see?
Just a black screen.
Oh, sorry. I think I need to make a share.
Wow.
I need share. Is it? Can see?
Yes.
Happy birthday, Teacher Sarani.
Both three of us have done a life liberation for teacher, wishing you great health and longevity. May you continue to teach us. And it's a joint effort by all your Dharma students. Yeah.
Yay.
Love you, teacher. Please stay, please stay, please stay.
Please stay.
Okay.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Our skill is not very good, so we try to. We just finished it a few hours ago. Thank you,
Thank
teacher.
you so much. That's really beautiful. Thank you. Wow.
I'll
Yes,
just give credit to Lama Sumati. It was actually his idea. It was only a conduit for good ideas. That's all. Thank you, Choi and Pauline and Rach for implementing Lama Sumati's wonderful idea for Lama Sarani's birthday. Thank you.
Yes, that's fabulous. We've changed the world. Long life for everyone. Long, happy, healthy life for everyone by liberating those creatures. So wonderful. It's like you have a whole system set up. You just go and do it. It's fabulous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm really rejoicing.
It's a very special today because today is the normal day. but we managed to start preparing this morning. But with all the good seed, and we managed to settle everything by almost 3 o'clock. Then we start.
Wow, good job. Thanks so much. I know that takes big effort. Thank you, everybody, for contributing. That's the best birthday present. Okay. Now, investigators. Okay. That's the second best birthday present. Okay, so we always start with the opening lines and then we go to where we left off. And this group has been doing a review. And then it's turned out to not just be so much of a review. So anyway, the person at the top of my screen gets to do the opening. Rashna, that's you. Will you read for us, please, from opening to Teenage Boy?
Here I have made a song for you on the very root of the middle way, which I call wisdom. In the language of India, this text is called Prajna Nama Mula Madhyamaka Karika. In the language of Tibet, it is known as Uma Sawe Siklor Jepa Sherab. In English, we call it wisdom, a song on the root of the middle way. I bow down to Manjushri, the glorious gentle voice, in his guise as a teenage boy.
Thank you. Where's Janet? Pauline, 1.1, please.
Sure, teacher. I bow down to that highest of teachers, to the fully enlightened one, who teaches us how to reach that peace, where our fantasies about how things exist are put to a final rest.
Yeah. We're getting more familiar with that, aren't we? Rach, 1.2, please.
Sure, thank you. I bow to the one taught us that things happen in dependence. Nothing ends and nothing begins. Nothing stops, but nothing ever lasts forever. Nothing comes and nothing goes. No two things are different, nor are any two the same.
Can that be? Mr. Choi, 1.3, please.
Thank you, teacher. Nothing grows from itself. Nothing grows from something else. Nothing grows from both. And nothing grows without a cause. There is nothing at all that grows at all.
How can that be? So recall that the text in the first chapter, he goes through all the different kinds of causes that we believe cause things in our worldly life. And he says, he shows how it is that they can't work, that they just can't work. And then, you know, at the end of the chapter, he says, so see, like causes have no natures. And our Kachik goes, what? That's not possible, right? Because things do things. You know, I go places. You have to go somewhere to do things. I do stuff. Stuff gets done. Function. And second chapter, Nagarjuna says, well, let's check out going, go, or gone. Like to our argument, I do so exist. I do things. My doing of things causes other things. There are so causes. And he says, well, let's check out going. And it's like, what? Yeah. Because you have to go somewhere to get something done, don't you? Like he doesn't just address the doing something. he addresses the getting to where you are doing something, literally walking, but it means getting there, right, even more subtly. And he goes through showing us that in fact what's happening when we go can't be working the way we think it's working. And in the end of chapter 2, we go, see, right? Go or going, gone, no nature of their own. Our Kachik says, so it doesn't exist at all. That can't be. Yeah, but, and we get chapter 3. Chapter 3, I don't remember off the top of my head. I do things because I see things, I hear things, I smell things. So Nagarjuna goes into those powers, right? The sense powers. And then those have no natures. Well, that can't be. And he goes into the is it the heaps next? I do so exist because Buddha said, I'm me and my 5 heaps. So we talk about the heap of form that I'm so sure I have. Well, what is this if it's not my heap of form? And he shows us how to investigate the heap of form. And he comes to the conclusion, see, our heap of form has no nature. And you can apply that to your other heaps as well. And our Kachik says, no, nature, what do you mean? Lord Buddha said, my heap of form is made up of the elements. I have to have a heap of form, let alone all the rest. And chapter 5 is the investigation of all the elements that Lord Buddha said make up our heap of form. But he very skillfully talks about the element of space instead of the element of earth. It would have been easier for us to wrap our minds around. It was a skillful way of helping us think about empty space, right? Which is skirting the ability to understand emptiness in the sense that when we see an appearing thing, we can know its emptiness is there, even though we can't see or experience the emptiness. We are experiencing it by way of experiencing the object that's there. So he talks about space when he's trying to investigate the heap of form, because it's actually a more important aspect of any heap of form than the form itself, is the space that it's in, because of how it's so similar to the object's empty nature. Okay? Not that space and emptiness are the same thing, but the way that we perceive it. Right? We can't perceive empty space except by way of a thing that's in it. And then we know it's there. So chapter 5 goes into the investigation of the elements using the element space. Coming to the conclusion, space and the elements, other elements as well, they have no natures. And as we're going through the argument, we're getting glimpses. Yeah, okay, I get it. And then at the end, when he hits us with they have no nature, right, our Kachik goes, no, that can't be. I do so exist because I want stuff, right? I like stuff and I want stuff. So things exist. What they're made up of exist. And I know it's true because there are things I like and there are things I don't like. All right, it's not really logical to say that, but it's sure experiential. Why would I like something if it didn't exist? Like, what's the point of that? But it's because we're misunderstanding what he means by they have no nature. Now, intellectually, we're not misunderstanding, are we? We know he means no nature of their own, only there because my projection ripens. But if we really admit our like deep inner reaction to hearing him say, you don't go anywhere when you think you're going somewhere. You don't have a heap of form or all the rest. You don't, right? It's like when we hear they have no natures, there's a part of us that goes, oh, that means they don't exist at all. And that part is the part that goes, wait, Nagarjuna. And that's what starts the next chapter. So whether we actually say it or not, Arya Nagarjuna knows that deep down in, we're thinking it. So that's why he goes to the next chapter. And it's like, thank you, Nagarjuna, because I wasn't smart enough to even recognize what my resist was. And each of these chapters takes us a little bit deeper. We're in chapter 6 and 7, 8, 9, we're shifting from the things I do or the things I experience. We're like getting closer and closer to looking at our own me's nature, true nature. So chapter 6 is about desire and the one who desires. Liking and wanting, Lama Christie called it. And it's like, what comes first? The thing I desire or my desire? So we come to see that, like, wow, it can't really work the way it seems to work. Oh, so they don't have any nature, right? We want to say no nature of their own so that we understand it better. But if we leave it at they have no nature, it sparks this inside that we want to get at, right? We don't want to make it softer. As Nagarjuna investigators, we want to reach that edge where inside we go, wait, that can't be true, so that we can go deeper. So chapter 6, are you different than the thing you desire? Are you the same as the thing you desire? What comes first, the thing you desire or your desire for it, etc. And when we come to see that, oh, that can't work in the way we think, that's the same for everything. Right? And it's like, ah. And we still dig in our heels. There is so a me that desires. Because that thing produces the desire in me. See? I have to be there. So he goes into produce things. How do things make other things happen? How do we establish that a thing is a thing that is either produced or does producing? The way we know a functioning thing is by way of the fact that it starts, it stays, and it stops. So remember that chapter? Chapter 7. Starting, staying, stopping is what defines functioning things. Whether I'm talking about the pen that functions to write, or the me that functions to make the pen write, or the whatever that functions that makes me function to make the pen write, function. He says, let's look at function. It must start functioning, stay functioning, and end functioning in order to be functioning, right? Just in words, but think about, anything we're talking about as a functioning thing. Turning the key to start the car, getting out of bed to go make tea, right? Any function. And it went into the starting. Can you find the moment that the starting happens? If you think you can, then isn't that a moment that itself had to start? And isn't it a moment that had to start? So which of the starts is the one that actually starts the one you're talking about? Right? Same for staying, same for ending. And it's like, whoa, we ended up totally confused at the end of chapter 7 because it's into this free fall. Well, then what's going on as I do things all day long? As things happen to me all day long, if none of it has any nature, like what's going on? And so our Kachik said, chapter 8, chapter 7 goes on forever. Maybe it's important. Goes on forever to scroll through it. We're getting to chapter 9. That's where we left off. Come on, chapter 7. So produced things can't exist at all. So how could existing entities which are not produced ever happen? Yeah, so don't worry. You're nothing. You don't exist. You thought you did, but not to worry. Wrong conclusion, right? Things that start, stay, and end are the very same way as a dream, an illusion, a city of the spirits. And our Kachik said, I don't buy it, Nagarjuna. I have to be the one who does something because I experienced that. Is it true? Our experiences are valid experiences when we turn the key and start the car. Yes, valid. When I start the car, I am a car starter and it works. And we went into chapter 8 that said, so at what point do you become the car starter? Not till the car starts, right? Once the car is started, you were the car starter, but now you're not anymore because it's starting. It's already going. It's not even starting anymore, it's going. So just because you say, I'm a car starter, that doesn't make the car start. And then if you're not a car starter, then there's nothing you can ever do to start the car. You have to be a car starter in order to start the car, but you can't be a car starter until you are starting the car. So, like, how do you go from being a not car starter to being a car starter? And, our ordinary sense is, I just pick up the key, I go out there, I stick it in, and I do it. Like, what's the big deal, Nagarjuna? And he says, yeah, but at what point does it really happen? If there's a real you and there is a car, right? If you are independently existing things and there's a key that starts the car by turning it, we should be able to find the exact moment when I, not car starter, become the car starter, and then become the not car starter, but rather the car driver. If I'm a real entity, independent of what's going on, right, I should be able to find the moment. It's logical. We just think, why bother? Well, because we're trying to figure out why it is the car starts sometimes and not every time. You know, that seems like a really minor thing. But how come no matter what I do, I can't help somebody stop pounding their big toe with the hammer of ignorance? No matter what I say, no matter grabbing the hammer, nothing. How come nothing really works right in my world? That's what we're talking about. So we went through chapter 8. We had fun doing that. Trying to find this moment we go from the not doer to the doer. And he skillfully took us along with him. Oh, okay. It really can't work the way I think it works. And yet it still happens. It seems to happen. Some things function and some things don't. I think this is getting close to the end. Something which is an agent and not one could never perform something which was and not one, meaning action. How could it ever be that being and not being were ever not mutually contradictory with a single one? Now, that's clear as mud. Where's his conclusion? There it is. So being the car starter is created by starting the car. The starting the car is dependent upon the car starter starting the car. And aside from that mutually arising circumstance, nothing can do anything. And then, of course, our question is going to be, well, what makes the mutually arising circumstance? But our Nagarjuna investigator wants to know that. Our Kachik hears, what? I am so there before I'm the car starter, right? Don't we say that? What's the problem with being the not car starter now? Becoming the car starter 2 hours from now when I go to take David to the doctor's office. Like we do it so effortlessly and seamlessly. We just believe it works the way it's working in the moment. But he just showed us that, wait a minute, there's something wrong with the picture. Not the starting the car picture, but with what I believe I am. And that's where we go in chapter 9. It's like, wait, I am so a not car starter. But that means I'm also a not dish doer and a not gardener and a not, right? Because right now I'm a blabber of the Dharma, which means I'm also not everything else that I'm not doing. Does that sound familiar? There's some school of dependent origination, right, that says you are the opposite of everything you're not. And it's like Nagarjuna says, yeah, duh. Okay. Because at the moment I'm a Dharma sharer, I can't be anything else but that. Not even the me doing nothing. Right? We think there's a me before we do something, don't we? And that's what chapter 9 is looking at. But he doesn't do it in quite those words. We have to know that that's what he's trying to bring us to. So we got partway into chapter 9. Seems like with chapter 7 in our review, we did that again and again. We'd get the same part way. Took us a long time. So just to bring us back to where we were, some say that the one who has looking or hearing or such or feeling and the like, right? Everything we've talked about so far, among others and those that relate, should be present prior to such objects, right? We think there's a me there before we see something, a me there before I go to do the dishes. If the entity involved were not present, then how could there be a looking or the like? If I wasn't there first, how could I pick up my keys, go out to the car to start it? I have to be there first, right? Yeah, like wrong. Yes, no, yes, no. So our investigators had the assignment last week to see, could you find the you that there is there before you do something? We were supposed to go looking for it. Did you find it? Anybody find it? Yes, Janet.
So this is my attempt at an
Okay.
analysis meditation. And it's from Chandrakirti, right? So he's saying that the baby Buddha was higher than his officials because he would eventually become a Buddha. But how could a baby be higher than the officials? He's just a baby. But there it is. And we're baby Buddhas. So how could that be? So I had to go to the 4 powers because I'm constantly criticizing my coworkers and my supervisor because of their ignorance. But of course, it's my own ignorance. But then, if I say it's my own ignorance, am I criticizing myself? And then you said, you said that, well, we have to work on yourself, that there is no self. So I guess, you know, I feel like it's almost like a trap. It's circular because in doing the 4 powers, if you don't criticize your coworkers, then you're criticizing yourself. And if you don't know how to get rid of yourself, then you're stuck on criticizing yourself. And the whole thing just continues. You don't get rid of the seeds of the ignorance. It just keeps going.
Very nice insight. And shows us that our conclusion when we say, we are getting rid of ourselves, our ignorance takes that to mean there'll be no me at all. Because our minds with the duality, me, other, that if there's no me, other distinction, there must be no me or no other or no both, which makes nothing. the the wisdom conclusion isn't no me at all, no other at all. It's, oh my gosh. And then words fail. Oh my gosh. It's, right? I can't say. Seeds ripening happening. Profound dependence happening. Mutual arising happening. Geshe says, results of my past kindness or not happening. We're trying to get to some way to be able to, like, momentarily glimpse exactly what Janet was saying about this conundrum, about the ignorance. And rather than come to the conclusion, it's like I'm stuck in a vicious cycle, I can't get out, rather reach that conclusion of, oh my gosh, even the mistake is mistaken. Even the mistake is nothing but seeds ripening. It has no nature of its own either. And we get this glimpse of how instantly everything could shift. And the tendency is it shifts and shifts back. We get glimpses and it shifts back. We can hold it for a little while and it shifts back. But what will sooner or later happen is that the shifts stay longer and longer and longer until it gets to the point where that's now your new reality. This constant shape-shifting, me and my world, like all hyphenated into one thing, instead of this exists over here and that exists over there, and then the two come together and a third thing comes to exist and then it's over here, right? This is our usual way. There's a me that exists independent of everything else. And then stuff happens. And even when we're thinking, yeah, and then I do something that plants a seed that's going to ripen in some future, we're still thinking there's a me independent of that process that then decides to do the process in order to do it differently. And Nagarjuna is pointing out that we're still thinking wrongly. If there's a me there first, somehow independent of everything else, and then, right, the process starts. So chapter 9 is, giving us ways to look logically to find that me that's there first, to recognize how slippery that is. It's like you can't ever be a self independent of some experience happening, can we? There's always a subject, an object, and an interaction going on happening. Why? Because every seed was planted with that. Why? Because every seed was planted with that. Why? Do you see? It's like, that's the only way there can be a self, is that there's an other. And the only way that there can be an other is that there is a self. But there can't be either one independent of the other, right? The Tao Te Ching says it, right? Forget how it starts. From the something comes the one. From the Tao comes the one. And from the one comes the two. And from the two comes the three. And from the three comes the myriad things. And it sounds like it's saying, first there's nothing and then one appears. But it doesn't mean because of this, then that. It means if there's, in order for there to be nothing, there has to be something to reveal nothing. So for there to be the Tao, there has to be the Tao, that's one thing. But in order for there to be one thing, there has to be it and other. And when there's it and other, there's in between. That makes the third thing. And when there's it and an other, the third thing is the myriad of things. And it's all through those interactions that things are existing, are changing. So this chapter, we're digging in our heels. There is so a me first. And chapter 9 says, let's look at why we think that's true. Right. Yes, Elsie. Sorry to ignore your hand up for so long.
No, it's okay, Lam. I'm thinking of this. If there is no awareness of the things that's happening around us, if there is, we have been carrying on living our lives without noticing anything, then suddenly we have this awareness that I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I think when we have this awareness, then we start to think of, can I change this? Can I make it better? Hence, that's why now we are learning how to move things. But the awareness is the me before we start doing anything. Without this, then we will just like the water flowing on the river.
Exactly. And that's where he goes in chapter 9. Because he says, the me that's there first. Oh, I just lost it. You said it's the awareness. The awareness is the me. And the awareness is always there. So, right, Arkachik says, so see, there really is a me. And he's going to say, right, now let's look at that awareness that is me. Is it the same awareness? Or is it a different awareness once it's been aware of something? Right? We just said, and I agree with you, that it's awareness that is the me. It's the awareness that's the subject side. And my Kachik says, and my subject side is my subject side. True. It can't ever be anybody else's subject side. But the me aware in this moment and the me aware in the next moment, is that me the same or is that me different?
I would say it's different.
It's different, right? And the next moment, different again. And the next moment, different again. So which me awareness is the real me? It's never the same 2 moments in a row. So why in the world do we hold to it as a me? But what else could we hold it to? We can't hold it as the object. Right? We're trying to do that in Mahamudra class. We haven't got there yet, but we're gonna. We'll see that if my me isn't the same 2 moments in a row as the subject side, and when I use my me as the object of my me's awareness, those got to be 2 different me's. But the me is never somebody else, at least in this life. lifetime. But it's never me the same 2 moments in a row. Like, what's going on here? Can we function in that place of awareness of being a me that's no me? A me that's changing moment by moment by moment? Would that be helpful or would that be scary? Janet.
I mean, the one way you could do that is it's all about the touching part and not about the object and subject. So then it's not about you or the subject. It's about the touching.
Yes.
But we still see the baby Buddha and the Buddha. We still see they are both the Buddha. I don't know if we see the Buddhas touching, but maybe practice and the way we think are two totally different things. I don't know.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Really, the key is the interaction between, isn't it? It's like
But we don't talk about the Buddha that way.
I would argue that when we talk about Buddha's compassion automatically emanating, which is the through which their Buddha being is being perpetuated, and that those emanations propelled by their compassion is part of being Buddha. We do talk about it. Like to say a being is Buddha is to say they emanate as everything for everybody.
I guess I don't have the seeds to hear it.
Right. Now you do, because you just did. Like we learned about those 4 bodies of a Buddha, and we go, okay, great. But when we stop and really think about them, like, what's it going to be like to really be those 4 bodies, right? I used to think, what's it going to be like to have those 4 bodies? And then I recognized, wait, I'm thinking of it wrongly. I'm thinking about it as being some kind of me that's going to have those 4 right ways. Yeah, get rid of that. What's it going to be like to be those 4 bodies? It's somewhere along the way. It's like this aha came. It's like I associate myself as a noun. And I realized that's mistaken. I'm a verb. And when I identify as the verb, subject object interaction between right? Happening. Oh, life gets so much sweeter. Because, do you see it? I don't know. I just, every time I hear myself say it, I get a deeper glimpse of what I mean by it. And I can just hold the feeling for a brief instant. If we identify as all 3 of those, it's a glimpse into the result of doing the exchanging self and other bodhicitta practice. We get in the space of being, right? Being. Not meaning you won't ever, rest and relax and do nothing. Because even as we're resting and relaxing and doing nothing, we are still subject-object interaction happening. They're still happening, right? Arising, happening. And with it's like we're getting closer to what they mean by this mutual arising. Dependent origination doesn't mean me depends on the key to turn on the car. Dependent origination means this happening, then this happening, then this happening. And then we know that's all propelled as results of causes made by previous this happening, from the perspective of the imprint on the subject side. which is always going to be there. There will always be a subject, an object, and an interaction between. Our mistake is when we identify as the subject independent of the object in the interaction. Right? As our wisdom grows, we're identifying as all three with a subject interacting with an object. It's like, wait, now I'm either the subject or I'm all of it. Which one? It's like, no, all of it. Yes, we are subject side. So chapter 9 says, right, find the me you think is there first and investigate whether it can be there first, independent of the car starting. Am I a car starter? No, we did that in chapter 8. But no, there's still a me. Yeah. And then which me would that be, please? The not car starter me and the car starter me, are they the same? No, that's silly. Of course I've changed. Well then, which one is the you? Please. Right? We think Nagarjuna is being silly. And he hears us say, no, the me before I start the car and the me that I start the car, yeah, I've changed, but I'm the same me. It's like, come on. You can't be the same and different. In the beginning, there was that phrase, right? Nothing comes from itself and nothing comes from other and nothing comes from both and nothing comes not at all. Everything comes from something, but it never starts and it never stops and it doesn't go on forever, but it doesn't last forever, right? All those conundrums. And then one of them was things are never different and things are never the same. Well, like we're either different or we're the same. Which one is it? Right? Do you see where we're going? There's the same me who's never the same 2 moments in a row, but it's never not me. How does that work? Never not subject side, but never the same subject side 2 moments in a row. What subject side am I? What subject side are you? None or always? All potential? Yeah. But all potential as an absence that's not non-existence, but the sense of not yet, but there's no such thing as not yet, right? Because there's always something. But, you know, so yourself is constantly changing, but it will never not be yourself. This is chapter 9. So let's read it. Like, now that we've gotten a glimpse in it, let's read it together and see if we can get all the way through it. So we can get to chapter 10 later. Actually, let's take a break before we read it. I yacked right through the break. I'm so selfish. I'm stopping this. I'm pausing recording.
Dear Lama, before we start, just a question because you said that the date's very fast. So we're coming back till May 7th, you said?
Yes, May 7th. We'll meet next week,
Yes.
but then not until May 7th.
Okay,
Right,
I'm
May
just
7
marking the
is it?
calendar, that's why.
Yeah. I'm pretty
Okay,
sure
thank
that's a
you.
Wednesday. Yeah.
And only next week we are having classes then.
Next week we'll have class. And then off for 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Thank you,
Right.
Juliana.
Right. Because people are coming to visit us before Diamond Mountain. And we're going to go do some fun things. And then there's Diamond Mountain thing. And then I have a 4-day thing happening after that. So I'm not back in business till the 30th of April.
Very busy. Great.
Yeah. Good things happening all around. Okay, where's my cursor here? So let's start again. Elsie, would you do 912, please?
My apologies. My screen doesn't seem to be responding. 9.12. Some say that the one who has looking or hearing or such, or feeling and the like, among others, and those that relate, should be present prior to such objects. If the entity involved were not present, then how could there be a looking or the like? Thus, the entity involved should be present prior to this.
So the entity involved we're talking about here is the subject side, ourself, our me, right? Got it? Joanna, please, 9.3.
Thank you. For what reason would we call what we do an entity involved, which were present prior to any looking, or hearing or such, or any feeling and the like?
I remember that Geshe Michael's class about the little girl looking through the telescope at the stars. And is she an astronomer? Which I thought was funny because it's like, no, she's a little girl. But the minute she's looking at the stars, she becomes an astronomer, apparently. Was she the astronomer before she looked at the stars? No. Do you see? That's what we were talking about. I'm not going to say it all again. It's just this verse is triggering. Do we call ourselves a dish doer before we're doing the dishes? No. I'm not the dish doer until I'm doing the dishes. Okay, that's what he's saying. Why do you call yourself what you do before you're doing what you're doing? Well, it's like, I don't. And I think he's going to say, yes, you do. Because technically what you're calling yourself is independently existing me without those words. I'm me. I'm me before I'm doing anything. And then me that's not doing anything goes and does the dishes, right? He goes, come on, that's nuts. Where am I? Janet, please, can you see it? It's going to take 2 pages, this one.
Suppose that even in the absence of looking and so on, this one could still be present. Wouldn't it be true, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that even in their absence, those would have to exist? Isn't it some example which delineates someone? And isn't it someone which delineates some example? How could one exist without some particular? How could there exist some particular without someone? It's in the touching, but we don't talk about it that way. We don't say, I start the car with kindness.
You're right.
I
We
start the car
do.
with love. I start the
Right.
car with anger.
All
I
right.
start the car because I'm in survival mode and I have to get to work.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's his point. Let's get off automatic pilot and start our cars with love in order to get to work because we're in survival mode.
But it's a conceptualization that we give it, right, dear Lama?
It is. It is.
It's my ripening, my awareness,
Yes.
and the imprint that concept.
Exactly. And what do you mean by the my?
What I mean is by a stream that is completely just doing its job, just ripples and more ripples and more ripples.
Yeah. Do you see how language just fails us?
It
Because,
does.
it's like there's a me doing all of that. No, I know you know what you're trying to say. The words that come out in order to convey it to somebody else, though, are mistaken. They have to be by way of our very language. We speak with subjects, objects, and interactions between verbs. Right? That's Janet's point. Be the verb.
Be the verb. Yeah. But for example, it's just in our daily activities, I just found myself a couple of days ago standing by my bedroom's window, admiring this beautiful blossom tree.
Yay.
Then my awareness caught a dog and a lady watering the plants. Then I saw the dog staring at a squirrel, and I thought, such a lovable image. I thought, oh, look, the dog could be just chasing the squirrel, and they're just there, standing, admiring one another. Then the lady comes over to water a tree, and I go, oh, look, how strange. How lovable the squirrel. She's still standing. Then I noticed it's a rock, not a squirrel. So you see all the stories that I was making up, all the misconceptions
Yes.
that my stream, the ripples or the ripenings, or
Yeah.
I was making it up. So how easy it is
Yes.
just to have misconception
Right.
of
Right.
just something.
Right. And I think Nagarjuna would say all of it's the same. Like even when we say, even if it had been a actual squirrel, he'd say, you're still making it all up. But making it all up sounds like I'm standing there intending to make it in a certain way, right? In mixed class, Nux class the other evening, they were talking about the kuntak as imaginary things, and I resist that word as imaginary, because to me, when I imagine something, I do it on purpose. But our kuntaks as imaginary things, they are not on purpose, they are forced. So I have trouble with that because of my own automatic reaction to it. Nagarjuna would say everything is imaginary, and that's what makes it real. But wait a minute, you can't be imaginary and real.
I think there was a few previous classes before, or the previous session, I think we mentioned that what we view as real is actually mirages, like the mirages in the desert. So we thought, or in our mind, it looks so real until we really step forward and try to touch it, to find it.
Right.
And then we realize that it's not real, it's actually a mirage.
Right. Right. And the mirage is there.
Yeah.
That's
we still
the thing.
see it as
It's
so
the
real.
water that's not.
Yep.
I love that analogy. Janet, you had your hand up.
But if you talk about mental afflictions and projections and past deeds, it's kind of interesting. You're basically talking about the touching. So why don't they just talk about the touching? Why do they call it the mental afflictions? If it's all about the touching, shouldn't we just go there? What's this?
Right. Why would we have any mental affliction at all? Right? If it's all in just the touching. And the touching, well, wait a minute. Something motivates the touching. Right? As we touch, we can touch for our own benefit, or we can touch for the other, right? There's still a subject object. We're in the touching. Why are we touching what we're touching and how we're touching it?
I just think if the teaching's all about the touching, why couldn't they just tell us that?
Guys, we're supposed to figure it out.
Why do we have to figure it out?
Because if when we hear the pen thing and we're told the punchline, we go, oh yeah, great. If we have the seeds. If we don't have the seeds, we go, nah, right? And argue. The dog sees a pen. They just don't know what it is. So if we have the seeds to buy the conclusion, we don't work out for ourselves how to get to that conclusion. And that means at some point, our belief can hit a wall. So if they just said, look, your subject side that you're holding to so strongly as real, really, you're just the verb, you know? Let yourself be the verb and let subject and object be the factors in the verb. Janet disappeared. If we had the seeds, we just go, okay, I'll do that. But that would not mean that all of a sudden, every circumstance that we are verbing is going to be pleasant.
Yeah, I think if we were to just be taught that it's all in the touching, it's all the verb, it's just pure faith. We do not understand the whole workings of it. So for once we get what we have, then if it is through our total understanding of how we achieved what we get, that is when we can replicate it. We can continue to do it and share what we know with others and guide them how to do it.
Right. We want it to become real.
Yes.
For ourselves. And like the analogy of watching every video on the planet of how to ride a bike, of riding a bike, but never actually getting on one, versus getting on a bike and riding it. Even if you only do it once, you now know what it is to ride a bike and nobody can tell you differently. So they dance around, you know, we're being the verb, be the verb, be what you want to see in the world, right? How you behave, create your future. But they don't go and say, and really the reason that works is because there's no you the same 2 moments in a row, but never no you at all, right? If we lay that on somebody brand new, they'd be going, okay, these guys are spooky. I don't think I want any part of that. Until we're ready, like Janet's so ready. Yes, Pauline.
Sorry, teacher. I'm a bit confused here when you all say touching. I thought the point is things doesn't touch. That's why things are not happening in the way it seems. So I think I'm missing out something here.
Yeah.
So am I misunderstanding?
Right.
When you say things touch, you mean that's how it works? I think it's the
Yeah,
other way
no,
around.
no. Janet's using the term touching in the sense of touching the other, right? How our subject side impacts the object side is the interaction between the two. And no, her line of work is she's a caregiver, so she touches people, right?
Okay.
So her relationship with being a verb is how she physically interacts with someone else, whether it's her client or,
I
some
see.
or whatever. That's what I think that she's meaning by touching. How we touch,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Thanks.
Interaction.
Oh,
But
okay.
you're absolutely right. I mean, if we were to say to Nagarjuna, okay, I buy it, I'm nothing but the verb, he will probably take us into, wait, are you thinking wrongly about yourself as the verb? Right?
Yeah.
Do you really think that there's a moment where you touch another? Because then we're thinking wrongly about it.
We are part of the seed ripening.
And even that, right? I hope someday we get to that chapter about the seed ripening, because isn't it on your mind? Wait a minute, how can this all come out of a seed ripening? Where's that seed? Where's the first moment of the seed opening up? Where's the first moment of that melon? Wait a minute, this can't happen this way
So
either.
I still feel that I have to be there before things happen.
I know, I have to be there for the
Yeah.
seed to get imprinted.
Mm.
I have to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which one is that? Yeah, will the real you please stand up?
We can't find the moment.
Can't find it.
You see, when we say that, are we the same me? When we say, yeah, I'm the half an hour older me, we still thinking it self-existently.
Yeah,
we are still not thinking in the way things are supposed to be, that we are part of our seeds ripening. Because when we say, okay, I'm 1 year older or I'm 1 day older, we are still thinking that we are the self nature me, which is 1 day older. But that's not how things is happening. Yeah.
Right.
Because we are part of our seeds ripening, right? So it's very difficult to put it in words actually. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Which is why we do it in meditation.
Yeah.
But then we need to take it back out, right, into Janet's life and Janet's work, and take what we come to know better from meditation and try it on for size when we're out in what appears to be the world of me, other, interaction between.
Mm-hmm.
It's the quality of the interaction. I call it touching, but it's the quality between subject and object. And what's kind of frightening is my coworkers, who I call ignorant, are also the nicest people, and I don't see them getting rewarded. Like, you could buy the best quality clothing for people and the best quality food, and you can make sure people get Father's Day cards and they have a quality life. And then the people they don't open the cards and they don't thank you for your work. They just expect you to provide, and then they get tired. And so you can provide quality, but it's almost like a private joy. You don't really expect any reward from it. And you're doing it because you want to get the positive seeds, so you don't see this anymore. And then will it change anything? So far, I have a question. It's like a science experiment or a puzzle. Because I've never tried this before. Will it something? I've tried other things and it hasn't changed very much. So I'm willing to try this. And it seems like if I can get results without having to physically do things for people, all the physically doing things, it just burns me out. So maybe this is a different way of being, but I don't know. So
Yes. And so, like, how could our attitude shift? So say we're in this situation where the way I make my wealth appears to be needing to physically handle people's needs, and those people appear to be beings that are unable to be satisfied unable to be content with anything that I do. And, you know, we could say radically, well, just walk away and trust that your past kindness will take care of you. And I couldn't do that personally. But how could our attitude shift about the work that we do that would help shift the whole situation of this kind of work is how I survive, how I support myself? You know, could there be a attitude shift as we're doing that work that would mean that as I do that work, I'm planting seeds in a different way? That then if I plant enough of them towards a powerful karmic object, dedicate and rejoice in them, that I should be able to experience some shift in some recognizable period of time. That's the promise. Yes, Roxana, what do you think?
Thank you, dear Lama. I'm back to coaching, and I have this young man who comes over. He's around 33. He's young. He has a good life economically. He's got everything planned out for him. But since he's got everything planned out for him, he feels trapped because he wants to be a YouTuber, but his mom has a very nice business that he has to run. And he's always feeling trapped, slaved, that he's not recognized for other abilities that he wants to do. So I said, okay, so you've got your mom's business, you feel trapped. You're always feeling lousy, terrible, and complaining. So let's just put a stop to it and just analyze what's going on. And you're always complaining. And I asked, is the mission of your mom's company written down? And he says, no, the mission is not written down. Is the vision of your mom's company written down? And he says, no, it's not written down. Do you have the objectives of what the business is about and what you pursue on those trademarks that you work with and so on? And he goes, no wonder you're miserable. I said, because you haven't established exactly what the business is about. So I think that it's so important for us, if we're going to do something, to really establish your goals. And with 3 or 4 verbs that we just add to the mission that we want to accomplish, to the goals that we want to really, accomplish as well. Otherwise, we're just going to be running in circles and being in feeling, at least that's what I've noticed with this person. So we are starting to work on that. I'm going to help him build the mission, the goals, everything.
Nice.
And he can take it from there. Either he's going to rise up or he's going to leave everything already written down for somebody else.
Yeah, nice.
So that's what I think, that we sometimes forget or we don't plan ahead. Exactly. So thank you for listening.
Yeah. Yes, Rashna.
I'm not sure this is exactly the right response for the question you asked, but when thinking about, you know, if for example, in Janet's case, when you're helping somebody and how to actually see the changes in the world faster, you've said repeatedly, Lamala, that the person that you're serving can represent all beings, which feels nice here, right? That, okay, you're helping this one person, giving them a Father's Day card or helping them however, and they may or may not recognize it or thank you. But if you imagine that you're serving all beings, and the bigness of it increases the power of it.
Yeah, nice. So the client could, in one's own mind, be a high karmic object. We can choose that they're a high karmic object, even though they look like the same old complaining, pain in the butt. They're just, I don't know why they're being like that. I know really they're, my angel Lama coming to me to give me the opportunity, right? I mean, you don't really have to think all that, but the attitude of our old attitude is I do this to get money. And it underneath it has this obligation. And then we have to be a certain way in that obligation. And all of that is driven by the mistaken understanding of where our personal support comes from, right? Can we induce in ourselves a shift in attitude to, like, I'm choosing to go and help these people in this way. I'm giving of myself. I'm sharing the wealth of my physical service to them. And I'm putting it out there to the universe for the result. Like to separate my livelihood from what I'm doing for my livelihood. Can we like disconnect that dot and choose to go there to serve those as all sentient beings or as a baby Buddha, right? Taking care of the baby Buddha. Babies don't know how to say thank you. They do it in different ways. And dedicate at the end of the day, I just created a new way to create livelihood for everybody. Now, Roxana has said, have it clear in your mind what you want your outcome to be. And that is the first part of the 4 steps, right? Have a clear outcome in mind. But then say this or something better, because we could create outcomes that are beyond what we can even imagine, beyond what we can even want now. We can create outcomes for. So if we limit ourselves, to, I want enough money in my bank account so that I don't have to do this work anymore. Like you'll get that much, but then the stock market crashes and you got to go back to work. So like the intention factor is important. And I find that elevate it to be even, to allow something even better to come out of the effort of the change in our own attitude. Yeah. Jana had her hand up.
Thank you. I found it always really interesting that Geshe Michael, when he was teaching DCI, he always went on like, you can do everything and you can have fun with it. Like in the leadership level, he was, it doesn't matter what you do, you can enjoy all of your jobs. And one was about the intention, but he taught it in a way that he said that first look at the enemies of the joy. So he said that one was laziness. I would just rather go and sleep another hour than get up and go to work, kind of thing. Then the second one was like it's a lower priority, and this is a thing that I sometimes encounter when I do things. I would rather be in a class, I would rather read a Dharma book, I would rather, and Dharma has a higher priority. And as you say many times, daily life is our practice, and practice is the same. We have to find a good balance between meditation, study, and practice. And if we can switch to this is my practice and has priority to evolve and to better understand the teachings and to get more insights, it will be also a different priority in my life to do whatever job, because they are the Buddhas out there giving me lessons or giving me the opportunity to learn something while I am struggling with them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the third thing was I can't do it. So that the thing that many of the Westerners have like this, I'm not capable to be the Buddha. I'm not capable to be a holy being. This thing that I won't be anything brilliant in that part, or I can't reach that. So those doubts and to overcome them. So I think for me, the intention would be also to just also have a look at what am I going to contribute to the world? What is it what I could share? And for Roxana's client, if there's this person wanting to do YouTube videos, so what is he making in life for contribution with this one? And then also having the same kind of feeling that I can contribute by the other work with for other people, so that he can also feel what difference his doing is making for the world, kind of thing. I don't know if it also helps Jenna with the, with the touching the
Right.
people and
Yes.
but it's
Yes.
sometimes it's really good, and also to have the gratitude thing going, to feel that, there's, you always say we have to repay our parents, our mothers, and you did in the Lojong class and the recent one, this just think they are all your mothers in a deep meditation, and I personally freaked out with that. So when I have to take people inside of me that I don't like, that I have to imagine they have been my mothers, I encountered lots of kind of, no, I don't want them so close.
Yeah.
And maybe they have been special, but to kind of try to change the perspective on those people, finding a way to feel this kind of gratitude towards them, that they must have done something in the past for us, and even though they don't say thank you right now, I'm just repaying.
Yeah.
I don't know, many random ideas, but maybe some of them find an entrance.
Yeah. Yes, Janet.
So I see all these women around me that have these positive seeds because they treat the clients better than me. And what they do is they want hot sex and the pretty house. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I realize it's not them, it's coming from me. I want the hot sex in a different way. And so I think about, well, what's going on? And it's like for the last 10 years, probably since I went to Rivas Mountain School in Arizona, because I had a really high moment and then I was depressed. And then the Buddhists say, well, everything comes to an end, including your depression. I guess technically you could die. Well, I guess I could go to Vajrasattva and ask, could this depression come to an end sooner than when I die, and see how that goes. But the reason I will like watch Netflix and eat chocolates is to get away from that depression.
Yeah.
And she's doing the same thing. She wants the hot sex because it's 4 hours or 20 hours of not being depressed because no one thanked you for all the hard work that you did.
Yeah.
And I guess if you really didn't want the rewards, if you were able to be clear that all this is a dream, but I can't help but take it seriously because,
Yeah. You're in it.
my other coworkers, the only way I would study another language, she told me she would love to study languages, but then I said, go ahead and do it. And she said the only way I would study something if I made more money. And it goes right back to survival again, that I got to make more money if I'm going to take a class. And I'm like, well, if you love something, you don't, I told Mike this, if you love something, you don't have to monetize it. But in this country, because the survival is so high, it's all about, not all, but I would say 80% about monetizing it. And I'm doing it too.
Yeah.
So what's up with that? So that's a Vajrasattva purification, I guess, at this point, technically. And then you purify that depression and then go back into it with that focus. Roxana said, have the focus that if anything was possible, what would you want? And I guess we want our enlightenment so that we could have enough omniscience to be free of this. And we could think we can't get it, but we could still set that goal, I suppose. Even if we think we can't get it, we could still set the goal. And that's the difference between me and my coworker. My coworker isn't setting the goal. She's just sort of in free fall. And I am too, because I'm seeing my coworker. So there's a part of me that's in that fall too. And I want I want the out. I really want to zone out because it's so depressing.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I see that my expectations are too high, and then I just never meet them. And it fortunately, I have enough good seeds that it doesn't make me doubt the system, but it just keeps me in this like constant state of not yet, not yet, not yet. And it is one of those blocks to joy. It's the block to be able to have this shift in attitude that gets out of that cycle that Janet just so beautifully described. To be able to step above it for a little while. By getting these glimpses of anything is possible in any moment, and whatever I'm bringing to the party in the moment is what I have to share. It's what's unique to me. I mean, everything is unique to me, but if I can share a little bit of uplift with someone, right, then that's my gift to the world. And it's a kind of generosity, right? Our wealth and our survival, our abundance comes from a generosity of spirit, whether it's things we give or attention or just a feeling of I care about you. That contributes to our sense of wealth, whether it's monetary wealth or wealth of safety or wealth of time or wealth, right? We have abundance. Abundance comes from being abundant, living abundantly towards others, even when we don't have material resources to share. We can share, right? We can share a kind facial expression. That's a form of abundance. Yeah. Yes, Elsie.
I'm thinking like Janet's case. She should be thinking that her coworkers she's seeing now is not her. It's her past self. And what she should be thinking of is how I want my future self to be. So, I mean, we cannot be expecting to uplift ourselves the whole 24 hours. It will be very tiring. But I think what we can do is we can set a goal each day. Like maybe I would feel better, or I would see, or I would handle someone better for maybe once a day or twice a day, or maybe for the next 15 minutes. At least we try to shift what we are experiencing in short spurts of time. Give us certain space that we can at least do some rejoicing on, and then dedicate this to me seeing more of this the next day, and the next day and the next day. And then if we are able to do it for maybe 10-15 minutes today for a week, then maybe next week we do it for another 20 minutes, and then we just keep increasing. And then I think we should be experiencing a more uplifting life as we move along.
Hopefully. That's the promise, right?
Yes, that's the promise.
Yes, Roxana.
I think that sometimes we're very hard on ourselves. We try so hard, we push ourselves so hard, and we get burned out in so many different ways. And from my experience is I have a couple of phrases here that I like to remind myself, and I want to share them with you. It says, seats are running the show all day. That's the first phrase that I have. So I keep that in mind all the time. Then I say, purify and make merit. So even in that story that I was telling myself about the squirrel and the dog and I go, of course, I have misperceptions. I have had misperceptions all of my lives. So this is the perfect opportunity right now to burn up some of them at least, to really have a powerful regret on all those misperceptions that you've had in the past. So that's an amazing opportunity. Even if I was making a love story, about the squirrel and the dog and thinking how wonderful a world would be, well, all beings would just be in joyful peace all the time and enjoying this beautiful paradise that we would create. So that was an amazing opportunity. Just purify, make merit. Then I have another phrase here. It says, please bless my mind. So keep that always in mind. And then I have another one that says, how are we creating our world? How are you creating your world, Roxana? So just by keeping those little phrases in mind, I'm not so hard on myself anymore because I know I'm trying. So I guess all of us are doing our best to try. And I'm not chasing after anything. I'm just doing my best at everything. So that's what I would just suggest. All of you are such an amazing beings, and I'm so happy to be among you all, so blessed. And you, dear Lama, leading us toward that perfect paradise. But just don't be so hard on yourselves.
We love you, Janet. You can do this.
Yes, Janet, you're amazing. And I love you so much. And I admire you so much because everything you do, honestly, I don't have those seeds. And I really admire everybody who does something that I don't do and I don't have sometimes the possibility to do. So that's really amazing.
I think that part of the addiction, like the brain addiction, and this addresses Elsie, to take it one step at a time. When you have a brain addiction, you want it all the time. So it's all or nothing. You don't want to be just doing it 15 minutes at a time once a day. For people like who are in addiction, we want it all the time. So I don't know if you could work that into the practice or not. I get the feeling it's unrealistic to work it into the practice. But Mike said the same thing to me. Mike was like, I wanted to do piano all the time. And then I did my business and I'm doing it all the time, but I don't do the stuff I love. And he said the same thing to me. And I was like, yeah, well, I understand that. I understand that you think you're good at something and you think you feel good when you do certain things and you think, well, I'd like to be like that all the time. And isn't it easier to be on it all the time than turn it on and off? So you argue with yourself too. But maybe that's just not sustainable. You can't be that focused all the time. You naturally turn your mind on and off. So there's like the reality of the situation and then these idealistic points. And that's what Lama Sarani was saying too. This really high expectations that are in some ways unattainable. But, are they? I don't know. But I mean, it all comes down to that self wanting to feel good, which maybe if you just didn't feel good all the time, it's okay. But you want to, and it feels so good. It feels so good to lay next to Doug and snuggle with him. It feels so good when I just want to do it. And then there was some ACI talk. If you ate chocolate all the time, you just make yourself sick.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna be in it all the time, but you want to probably notice what's going on when you're doing it.
Right.
And I don't know. At this point I have to just let it go because, in about 8 minutes I'm going to step into work and then I'm going to be into another another realm. So, I do the best I can, and I think to simplify it I should just not work and just practice Dharma all the time. But then you got to caution myself about where that's coming from. It's coming
Your
from
work
this
is Dharma practice.
I know it is.
Yeah, so much more to talk about here. We got to the same place in chapter 9 last time. Let's just do 9.6 to leave us thinking. It's not the case that one is present prior to all the looking and the rest. One of those other among looking and the like is delineated upon occasions other than this. What? You can't be there first before you are looking, hearing, tasting, touching, doing.
But the quality of the interaction is always there. You could make that argument. Maybe that one isn't present, but if the quality of the interaction is the same, that can be always there. If that is
There is always a one there, but they're not there before it happens. And then when it is happening, when we are doing the looking, we are only the one doing the looking when the looking is happening. That's what this is saying. So I'm not the car starter before I start the car. I'm only the car starter when the car is starting by way of what I'm doing. Because I could even put the key in the car to start the car and it doesn't start, which means I never become the car starter, do I? So the doer is delineated as the doer by the doing. That's where Janet was saying we're trying to identify as that whole process happening, rather than identify with the me that's there first, that's happening too. So can you get a glimpse of the difference? If there's a me here, even as I'm starting the car, there's something happening to me that makes me able to start the car. That's perpetuating the ignorance. I'm here, things are out there, they're coming at me. As we're shifting this understanding of our identity, our very being is dependent upon our experience at the moment, which can be then more from the perspective of it's outgoing rather than incoming. Right? I'm just feeling like this chapter could help us get a glimpse of this shift from a me in a world that's coming at me to the being, the happening, which really is coming. It could all be an offering. It's all right? Making this shift from incoming to outgoing. Which, if we were in our work, in the sense of being this outflowing, would things be so hard? You know, would there be so much resistance if we're in this space of just whatever's next? I serve, whatever's next, I offer, whatever's next, it's happening. Their reaction, no problem, I'll deal with it in this way. Will there be problems? Yes, it's okay, I'll deal with it in this way. And like turning ourselves inside out from being the one it's all coming at to being the right there that is again. So let's try again this week to notice our me there first, that things are happening too, and see if you can get a glimpse of just like, what would it be like if I really could identify as this constantly shape-shifting provider of experiences for others, a beer instead of a doer, you know, in that space of the doing. So remember that person we wanted to be able to help. We have set in motion the end of all their ignorance by way of our effort to get a better glimpse of our own in order to go on to put a stop to it. And that's a great, great goodness. So please be happy with yourself. With simply the effort. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy guides. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay close. To continue to guide you, help you, inspire you, support you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good, we want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it by the power of the goodness that we've just done. May all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales. Share this goodness with that one person. Share it with everyone you love. Share it with your own future self, tomorrow's self, next week's self. And share it with every existing being everywhere. And may it be so. So thank you everyone for studying Nagarjuna with me. Yes, Pauline.
So just now you mentioned the last part. Is it what teacher is trying to say is like something like instead of reacting, having the wrong worldview, like things are coming at us and not coming from our seats, we should actually understand karma and emptiness and not react, but create what we want in the future.
Right. Right. In every moment, we are creating our future. We're already doing it. Right. We can become more aware, more aware.
Enjoy your day, dear Holy Lama.
Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
wonderful birthday and a long life. As
Enjoy.
Enjoy
always
your
say.
birthday, teacher.
Please
Bye-bye.
stay.
Thank you.